Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, we didn't mention she's funny too. Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. So, a couple of things. Today's interview with my bestie, Sonya King, is here to talk animals and to teach us a little bit about animal communication. And also, I don't know if this is happening, but when this is coming out, we are supposed to be in the Poconos at the, what is it, Mohegan Sun?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Mohegan Sun.
So if things are better, you will be, you can come to the Mohegan Sun in Pennsylvania, in the Poconos, Pennsylvania. And actually, if things are still up, next week you can see me in Miami. I haven't been promoting anything because I thought we were going to be canceled. But Sonya, thanks for coming on the podcast. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is going to be fun.
I know. I have to tell you. So, we got a couple of horses to talk about, but I have to tell everyone. So, since we were, we're taping this in April, folks. So, the vets, they can't have everybody in the place. They want to keep people separate. So they have you leave your animal and then you sit in your car. You don't go in, you give them the animal and then you go sit in your car. And Courage gets, fluids every 2 weeks. He gets, I don't know what they're called, sub-something fluids. And don't worry, folks. Sub-Q fluids. And, he's doing great. This is just because he's older and he's got bad kidneys, but this is helping out so much. So it's just something we have to do. And, so the other day I took him in, the vet tech, takes him, and I'm outside about 10 minutes, and then the vet comes out and she says, so I was in my office and then I heard one of the vet tech yell, ow, he bit me. And I thought, well, Courage must be here. So his reputation precedes him as we get to the vet. Courage has bit someone. And she came out and said hello. But you know what I think, because that was during Corona, I think I'm a little worried about the animals and the masks. Like, I don't think Courage, I think they all had masks on that day and they don't always have them on. And he did not like that at all.
Oh, right. Because it's so different. Mm-hmm.
Do you think, and I know we covered Corona in a different thing, and usually these Friday ones, folks, they're not about Corona, but just a question. Do animals they don't like Halloween? I always thought animals hate Halloween because that's a stranger coming to the house in a mask, concealed in a mask. I wonder if Corona is going to bother them. I mean, they're starting to see us in masks, right?
Well, right. So there's two different things with that. So masks can be so some dogs don't like hats. So they don't, somebody, that has it wearing a hat, they don't like them. They take the hat off, they're just fine.
Really? What is it about? I should remember that if someone's wearing a baseball hat. Do you know what they don't like about hats?
Yeah, I feel like it feels like it's it changes the like a shadow. It creates a shadow,
mm-hmm.
and they don't like that. It just is something that they don't. Not necessarily a shadow, but it's something unfamiliar.
Oh,
also, there's some animals that have been mistreated by somebody that's wearing a hat. Then they don't like hats.
Right. I wonder if that has something to do with covering up the crown chakra.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
That's interesting. Yeah. So they don't like people that are in some sort of a disguise, shall we say?
Well, yeah, because it just changes everything. But I'll have to say that really one of the really cool, so many cool things about animals, but they've shown me in the past that they view humans as like an energy grid, right? So they don't see us as we see us. They see us as energy. That's why it's so easy for them to know right up front who they like, who they don't like. There's no mistaking. You walk in, and your energy is just right out there for them to experience. Well, there's no hesitation about it. Either they're comfortable being around that individual or they're not. And, people can do that as well. But, aren't we like notorious for talking things away?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like things will happen and we'll just go, well, no, that'll be okay. It's okay. It's my imagination. I'm being rude.
Right.
Well, yes. And animals, they don't entertain all that kind of nonsense. It's either okay or it's not.
Yeah, we have people who have been taught, don't be rude or don't say that. Women, more importantly. And then there's Courage, who's just like, I don't like you. I'm going to bite you. And he does not like one of the maintenance guys that comes to my apartment quite often. Like, he hates that guy. Because people come in all the time and he doesn't do anything. Usually it takes him about 10 minutes to realize they're here and then he barks. But, and I asked you about that once because I would leave and the guy would come in to fix things. And in the distance I would hear, like just forever, even after he leaves. Do you know I know that you said, Courage said, if you knew him better, you wouldn't like him either, or that there was something hidden or something like that. Do you remember?
I do. And it was essentially that what he presents, what you're able to see is not the full picture. So it was, excuse me, it's really something where you've got to, he's not going to do anything there. But when he's away from there, he's a very different person, and it's a person that you wouldn't, be comfortable around. And the boss is just not comfortable around him at all because of that. Because, you can't fake out an animal. The boss is smart. He's aware of what energy somebody holds and who they are. And because, now even though we both know that the boss is very much, he's demanding.
He's the boss.
He's demanding. He's the boss. And I still think the funniest story I've ever heard with an animal at all, across the board, any animal ever, was when you were walking the block and that whole rotisserie chicken fell off somebody's balcony right in front of them.
He was very small, and we were walking, and someone on their balcony had a rotisserie chicken that fell off, and it just fell in front of him, and he went bananas. And I think that's when he actually started to think he owned the world, because I think he thought he made that happen.
Yeah, so now he's loves balconies, right? There's walked by a balcony.
Yes. He thinks
that's how this happened.
My favorite story is when I called you because he was sick, and you go quiet like you do, where you tune in, and then you go, he said he's showing me old Chinese food on the street, and he wants you to know he's going to eat it again. Like it was worth getting sick.
Yes.
Which is, and that's the other thing. The other day I called you when, he was really throwing up, and, of course he was in motion so that he could cover the entire rug with vomit. He didn't want to sit, they've got to move through it. So they cover everything. But throwing up for them is very different than for us. Like we get very dramatic about it. They don't mind it all the time, do they?
Well, for them, it's just a way of getting rid of what they don't need. For us, we're the ones that get all melodramatic about it and, rush to the bathroom, our eyes water. We just get all freaked out, Like, no. And of course, for them, it's just a go, yes. And there you go.
And we're done. And then they want something else to eat. So,
right.
So now you talk to so many, and you've been talking since you were a little kid when you didn't realize other people couldn't do this.
Yes. Because it's that conversation that doesn't happen that makes you just think that everybody else is just like you, right? So I would talk to them, but I didn't know that other people were not hearing what I was hearing. And so in other words, that I would hear that they needed some water, and I just thought anybody else heard also that they needed water. And,
Right.
but they didn't. It was just that, well, let me back up. It is, but they didn't realize they were hearing from their animal.
So now I want to get right into horses because, and folks, this is going to be great because in the second half, I actually think I successfully talked to 2 animals, but Sonia's going to give us some tips and we're going to talk about it. But you always, because a lot of times you and I will talk, especially if an animal or if something in a reading, not about the person, but be like, oh, there was this message in the reading or there was this message there. And horses, now, horses are a different level than other animals. They're high, would you say they're higher spiritual vibration, or what is it about horses?
Yes, absolutely. That's what it is. They're definitely, they operate on spirit level all the time. So if you've ever hear of somebody describing a horse as being spooked, you know, the fact that they wear the blinders, you know, so they're kept on track, it's because they're on the spirit level, which means that, in other words, you could say that they're not really grounded, and they're up, you know, in the higher, we should say like the higher chakras. That's where they kind of hang around, and so that's how they operate. So if you're around horses for a period of time, what I find is I have to ground myself all the time because, you know, you could just fly away with them.
That's interesting too, that I have always known that horses are like the teenage girl's dream. Did you ever notice that? They always want a horse.
Yes.
And maybe it's more than riding them because I mean, there's very few animals I don't like. Spiders, I will watch them all day, not that comfy with them. But I feel like horses are a beautiful animal. I wouldn't put them above a dog, though. A dog has that cuddliness, but you watch almost all teenage girls or younger go through a stage where they want a pony. And I bet it's that energy.
Yeah. I'm sure that it is. It's because they're kind of like this mystical kind of being that can do all things, and they're just so majestic. And they also have a very clear connect with anybody that's willing to listen. They're available. They give guidance and direction, and it's just very, very clear. And like I said, they operate on that spirit level. So let me just say this, all animals operate on a spiritual level, right? That's where they operate. But then also we see that they have an embodied experience as well. Horses, however, spend more time on that level than any other animal that I've connected with.
Wow. I always think, did I ever tell you the time, this story right here, folks, has a whole lot of, you're going to be going, wait, what was that? What happened? But I'm just going to tell it that way. Did I ever tell you about the one time I rode a horse?
No.
So I hated college. I finished the semester early. I went straight through internship over the summer, just moved to Vegas, just took a bag and a little bit of money and moved to Vegas, ended up living with these crazy old people, renting a room from them. And, they introduced me to my only friend there who was a very successful prostitute who had horses. And she took me to ride with her one day, and she was on the horse she was used to, and she put me on a horse that had only been broken once, which I didn't know this until later. They say they usually need it twice. Like they break them. A wild horse gets broken once. You know what I mean by broken, right? Am I using the right word?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that thing threw me so high in the air, and I landed back on the horse. And this woman who had been around horses could not believe that I did not fall off that horse. And of course she had to hold the horse and walk us back because I was so freaked out. But so many times I relived that in my head where on a different timeline where I'm lying and now I'm in a wheelchair. Like it was so intense. And it's weird because someone had always told me I had a past life where I rode horses all the time. But she said, the reason she was like, I cannot believe you didn't fall off that horse. You were she said, you were feet off that horse. Like he jumped up and threw, you know what they do when they throw their front feet in the air? So that's my only time riding a horse.
So he bucked you off and you landed right back on the saddle?
Yes.
Wow. Was it scary?
Know. Terrifying. I haven't been on one since.
Wow.
I know. Wow. And I got to get back on.
Yeah, I think you probably do. I have a crazy horse story. You want to hear this one?
Yes.
All right. So I was really young.
But first, I want to tell everyone the moral of the story is don't ride a prostitute's horse. That's it.
That's that's the message for the day.
Don't ride a prostitute's horse.
We're not gonna top that. That's it.
Ride whatever you want, not the horse. Okay. All right. What's your horse story?
Right. So it was back in a time where I was doing everything I could to not acknowledge that I was hearing animals. Mm-hmm. Because once that became apparent to me, I knew that wasn't what other people were doing. So a friend of mine, I was a teenager, a friend of mine had some horses and said, well, let's go for a ride. So I went out, got on this horse, was one of their, like you, it was one that didn't get ridden very often. So we took off, and what would happen is that he was on a horse in front of me. His horse would stop. The horse I was on would go up sideways right to the horse in front of us, their butts. He would lift up his tail and fart at me. And then, so we kept walking. I'm like, oh, it's disgusting. So anyway, we kept walking. We had to go across this kind of shallow riverbed. It wasn't too deep. So he went first. His horse went across just fine. The horse I was on went to the middle of the riverbed, which standing up, I wasn't getting wet. But he decided to sit down.
Oh.
Now, I don't. Yeah. So he sits down. I'm on the saddle. I'm holding on for dear life, and he starts doing this weird movement. So he sits down. I get soaking wet all the way up to my almost to my waist, and he just sits there. And I'm like, make it move. Like, at this point, I'm not even pretending like I can do. It's just I could do nothing about it. And because I was in denial of being able to even communicate, it didn't even occur to me to say, "Dude, I get it. You're telling me to just knock off take off the blinders here myself." And, what else I got to do? I'm trying to drown you. I'm farting on you. What else do we need to do?
Wow.
The guy came back in. The guy walked in back with his horse, grabbed the reins, and then kind of guided the horse up. Now, still, I'm soaking wet. We're walking, and still, like a number of times until we got back to the house, his horse stopped. My horse went sideways. The front horse farted on me. And then I'm sure, just like the boss laughs at everything, they laughed, carried on.
Now,
and that is the last time I rode a horse.
If we are in the Poconos, we got to ride a horse.
I think that should be the plan.
Old, slow horses. I didn't know horses could sit down. Don't they stand all the time?
I know they do, and they do sit down and they do lay down, but they just bend their legs and kind of like it was kind of like felt like a rocking movement. I kind of like the details of this are just a blur for me, some of them because it felt kind of traumatic.
Right.
And I don't, knowing horses now, I should ask them about that. Why would they, But anyway, it was Yeah, you're not gonna, wake up.
Right, because I
We'll do
know
things to you.
you got other things to do. I know cows. We knew it was going to rain when cows sat down, because cows sit down to try and keep the land under them dry. All right, so we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Athens, and we're going to talk about Sassy, and we're going to talk about my tiny attempt to communicate with animals, and Sonya is going to give us some tips, because I know right now the veil is thin. You guys probably listen to my podcast because you all have a little psychicness in you. So let's get to it and learn how to communicate with our animals. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's me doing an ad for me. That's right, I keep forgetting to say this at the end, so I had to take out an ad on my own podcast. First of all, thanks for listening, and I love all your feedback. If you have a comment or a story or just want to say hi, email me at karenrontowski@gmail.com. Also, go to karenrontowski.com or paranormalkaren.com, and you can get my tarot class. That's right, it took me 2 years to put it together. It's 8 classes, about an hour each. You will be reading tarot by the end. While you're there, sign up for my email list. Everyone should do this. I only send out an email about every 2 to 3 months, and it's filled with typos and misspellings, so you know I haven't been kidnapped, and that's the best way to keep up on comedy, dates, and whatever is new. While you're there, you can book a 30 or 60-minute tarot reading, or you can get a gift certificate for somebody else. I got a little bit of merch left. If you want a Paranormal Karen Shungite sticker for your phone to make it safer, you can email me about that, or I now sell Paranormal Karen reusable straws. You take them with you wherever you go. Maybe you're doing cocaine with someone that doesn't look like they're clean. Boom, you got your own straw. karenrontowski.com. Okay, so Sonya, tell me about Athens.
Athens is one of my most favorite horses in the world. He's just this cool dude that's so insightful, full of wisdom. He's in a barn. His mom is totally dotes on him. He's just full of wisdom. And the other day we were having a conversation, and the subject of death came up because one of his pasture mates died. He had some tumors on his intestines, and the vet came and helped him to pass because he was in a great deal of pain and was not going to be able to recover from that. So his mom was very concerned because this was a horse that Athens would see out in the pasture all the time. And Athens had been out there and the body was still there. So she was concerned that he had seen this body and that he would be upset, and they needed to get rid of that body because Athens and the other horses didn't need to see it. And Athens was very matter of fact about this. He said that people are too consumed with what to do with the leftovers after a soul has left the body.
The leftovers.
Yeah, so he called them leftovers.
Wow. So, go ahead.
Yes. And so he's basically saying what we all know, which is that when a body is left, it's just the body. So that his friend that had been so sick and in so much pain it was gone, to Athens, seeing this, for him on that particular situation, seeing the body wasn't traumatic. It was like, oh yeah, that's the leftovers.
Right, because he would see it empty or wouldn't see the energy or the matrix, right?
Correct. Because when animals see people and animals, it's like an energy grid. It's the vibration. It's their frequency. So not only do animals feel that from others, but they can also see it.
Now, on that note, though, some animals, say you have 2 animals, you have 2 dogs that are brothers.
Yes.
And if one were to pass, though, the other one would be very sad, right?
Correct.
So is that they're missing the soul, like they still get the body part, but they're just, or is it just about change, or... because Athens, or maybe that's why Athens and horses are such a higher vibration, because Athens gets it.
Yeah, it's pretty. It was pretty clear cut to Athens. Every animal on the planet, though, they're experiencing an energetic experience. An embodiment, just like the same way people are. So they each have they have their own personalities. They have their own emotions. They can have their chakras out of balance as well. They can be upset. They can feel grief. So again, any time that there's an ailment of any sort, whatever level that it's on, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, there's an energetic block that's causing that. And so animals can have a block. Animals can, when they, it can cause them to get sick. It can cause them to have a certain, behavior that's developed, patterns that develop. They can absolutely feel grief at the loss of somebody that they are connected to.
And more so with a human, right? I think of that, there's a lot of, they always show those videos on Facebook of the dog at the soldier's grave, or like just knowing that their owner is gone.
It can be devastating, and the grief is so intense that those things do happen. And again, it's because of the energy gets stuck. Here's the difference, though, with animals and people. So let's just say something happens and it's startling. And I like to say it like if it's a trauma or an insult. And something that just happens and it affects them so deeply. They might develop a pattern or a behavior because of that. What they don't do is ruminate on the incident itself.
Okay, so that's a good topic. Somebody that rescues a dog that was abused.
Yeah.
And they don't say they don't like men. A man walks into the room, the dog gets frightened.
Yeah, but in that instant they do, because that's a stuck energy surrounding that particular incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they have so they need to have that energy block removed. What they don't do is sit around before that guy comes in. They don't sit around like humans do and go, "Oh, that was terrible. They were mean to me. I can't believe they did that. That hurt me. They should have known better. It's all of this stuff. Also, guilt is a big one that animals don't carry around. I mean, just ask the boss.
No, the boss does not. I have asked you a million times why he has bit someone, and he always goes, "Well, their boundaries were bad." Or he always has an excuse.
There's always something. And so, in other words, an animal does not have this thought process that's so detrimental that people carry around. So if we can learn from them by not constantly thinking about the things of the past and being worried about the things of the future, we would be much better off. So in other words, that guy comes in, triggers a trauma or event or insult, injury. In that moment, they're upset, so it shows up. Behaviors can develop. And again, not that they're ruminating on that thing, but it happened and created a block, then led to a certain particular pattern or behavior.
You have any tips for owners on how to change that?
Yes. First and foremost, change your mindset. Change your thought patterns on what's happening, because your animals are so connected and aware of what you're thinking. And here's my favorite example that I ever share with people. So let's just say that somebody has a dog and they tell their dog, don't go in the street. That next thing they know, their dog is in the street. They're freaking out. Well, I can't believe you did this. And the dog said, what? You said the street.
Right.
It's because there's no difference there's no good, bad, right, or wrong when it comes to animals. It just is, right? So if you're focusing on what you don't want them to do, what you don't want them to experience, what you don't want in your life, then you're going to get those things. Just remove the word don't, right? So the important thing is to focus on what you do want. So in other words, for somebody that has, let's just talk about the boss for a second, because, your listeners know the boss. right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to let go of what he's trained you on, in that he bites people. So that's what you know. That's what you experience. So when he goes into public, when he goes into places you're concerned, don't do this because he's going to bite. So what's happening is he's getting your energy and your message. It's bite, 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 bite.
Right.
It's not boss, don't bite, courage. You're not being nice, stop biting. He doesn't hear that. All he hears is bite, because there is no good, bad, right, or wrong. So if you changed your mindset to what it is that you want him to do, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to feel peaceful and comfortable and not feel the need to protect himself? Do you want him to feel safe and peaceful? Those are the things that you put in your mind, that you think about. The energy there in that thought is very different than the energy of don't bite.
Well,
the frequency of that vibration is different.
Right. And here's the boss may be a little different. But I know, that's also just for folks. So they know how their subconscious works. That's actually, well, it's the message of the high priestess in tarot, but your subconscious, it's like someone that goes that drinks a lot and then quits and goes to AA, and is, instead of like doing the steps to move their life forward, is constantly thinking, I can't drink, I can't drink, I can't drink.
Mm-hmm.
That is
right.
the same message as I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink. So all their subconscious is hearing drink, drink, drink. So now with the boss, I believe that he and I worked out something, and this may be with you, that he doesn't, now that he's older, he doesn't want everybody grabbing at him and petting at him. So I just say, no, I'll put him down and he can see if he wants to go up to somebody. But I think that was the boss and I made that agreement, and you said he appreciates that.
Very much so. Very much so. And animals get so connected to their people, and there can be these conversations where you work out a deal. And what you did, though, for him is to recognize what works for him and what makes him uncomfortable. And so you've made the adjustments on his behalf, which essentially is, let me make you more comfortable. Let me allow you to do this on your terms and in your way, and not allow everybody to come at you, because anybody that sees him just, wants to touch him.
Yeah, they go at him with two hands, and if I'm holding him, he's so little, that's almost like being consumed. I freak out on the airplane when the flight attendants come at him, because I don't think they realize, it's almost the old adage, if you want to see what your dog sees, lay on the sidewalk and watch everyone walk by and see how safe you feel.
Correct, yeah.
And so here's the part about communication. So boss communicates with me a lot. In fact, you saw him the one day, he was staring. He just stares at me like he's pounding the message into me. And so I am so sick of trying to run him out between airplanes. I fly Southwest. You've gotten the message from me where I run him out, try and get him to go to the bathroom, run back through security and try and make the plane. And if there's a limited amount of time, it totally freaks me out. Now, when he was younger, he used to go to the bathroom on newspaper, and I bought some pee pads, and I thought, I'm going to teach him this no matter what. I don't know if you remember that the last time on the plane, I was like, I'm going to teach him this no matter what. So there's a pee pad on the floor in here, and I show him the picture. I close my eyes. I show him the picture of him going to the bathroom on the pee pad, and then I give him a treat. And I play that movie over and over and over, and I open my eyes, and he's just sitting on the pee pad like, no, I'll sit on it. That's it. I'm going to sit on it. So sometimes they say no.
Well, sometimes they say no, but also he doesn't think that you mean it.
Okay, that's okay, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So again, you can be saying a message out loud, but internally you don't really necessarily buy into something, or you don't really necessarily need for it to be that way. So you are thinking about an emergency, a situation that's uncomfortable, and trying to apply that in this situation. But in this situation, you don't really believe that he needs to go on this pee pad because you know that you're going to take him for a walk. He knows you're going to take him for a walk.
Okay.
So in those moments, he knows that you don't really mean it. Like, it's not really an important issue for him to go on this pee pad. It's just something that you're working through, and he just knows that he gets a treat.
He always gets a treat anyways.
Yeah, whatever this thing is that you're doing, it's a payday for him.
Right.
So,
well, I don't give him the treat if he just sits on it. But okay, so I should keep the pee pad. If I can't go out, I should put it down and then show him now or never.
You can, yes, you can visualize for him what it is that you want for him to do.
Okay.
The point that you just made, though, is huge. It's very important to understand that you can speak to your own animal. An animal communicator can speak to your animal. It doesn't mean that they're going to change their behavior if they are not clear about what it is that's being asked. And also, it doesn't mean that they have the same perspective. So it's a matter of getting to where to where they are on a subject, to their interpretation, to their experience and their feelings about it. This leads into, and I don't know if we have time to go into this or not, but you can let me know if we need to push it back a little bit.
Okay.
But everything that happens to an animal is an opportunity for their humans to grow and to move forward. And so that not every ailment or situation is one that's painful for them or detrimental to them, but everything that happens is a message for the humans. It might not mean that it's not. Well, let's say that there's an animal that has something physically going on, so it's absolutely in their body at this point. Well, that doesn't mean that you don't address that. It is important to help them to recover from whatever it is that's going on with them. Mm-hmm. It's also important to recognize what you, as their companion, was thinking about at the time. What were you thinking about? What's going on in your life? How are you behaving? Are you reacting in a way that's healthy for you? Are you holding on to something that's not healthy? Are you being honest with yourself?
Okay, wait, let's go back a minute because I got lost there. Okay, so let's say, let's do that backwards. Let's say that I am in complete denial about this guy that's really awful and is treating me bad, but I want a boyfriend, so I'm staying with this guy. And courage clearly is like, not this guy. He might get sick from that.
He could get sick from that. He could, yes. And it's an effort of, and it's going to be connected to the emotions, right? So we know that there's a connection between emotions and body organs. And so, yes, you can see it show up in particular ways. So let's just say an owner has an issue with fear, a fear that's overwhelming and detrimental to their well-being. Animals take on negative energies for their people, and that's what they do. That's one of their purposes in being here, and they choose this. They will take on that negative energy to a point of getting physically ill on behalf of their human.
Okay.
So if an animal has severe kidney issues, you can trace that back, not every time, but you can trace it back some of the time and go...
Yeah, okay. Because Courage has kidney issues, yeah.
To an owner that is fearful.
That would make sense. Okay.
Okay, so it is important to take care of the animals well-being, their mental well-being, emotional, physical. It's important to take care of all of that. But it is important to know that the animals are here and they have their companion. They choose their companion in order to help that human move forward, in order to learn new ways of functioning and behaving. They take it on, and then you take them outside, and then they allow that negative energy to dissipate into the earth.
Okay.
Where it's then because they transmute that energy on your behalf.
Okay.
Am I making any sense at all?
Yes, you are. And I also get how if I was, and sometimes they're old. Courage probably has kidney problems because he's older. But also it could be like if I was totally fearful and I kept him home all the time, he might have worse kidney issues, right? He might be picking up on that if I didn't take him out for walks and let him transmute that energy.
Correct. Okay. Correct. And it's important to know, too, that every human is unique and every animal is unique. So I don't want to suggest that everything that's going on with your animal is like, here's this little nice neat package, and this is what, you adjust this and he's going to be okay.
Right, because your little guys were from a puppy mill. You rescued them, so they have immune issues.
Correct. And even with my guys, they have a great deal of skin issues, and that's what I've known my whole life is asthma and allergies. So I'm not removed from this situation either. I have horrible allergies and skin issues, and so do my dogs.
So and also what's very interesting about you is I think you've had 3 or 4 near-death experiences. You drove your car, your blood pressure went so low that your car went off the road. You had West Nile. You've had a lot. You've like 9 lives.
Yes, and then meningitis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Your little guys are the right guys for you because of that, aren't they?
They are, and they are Oliver and Einstein, these 2 little cuddly bichons that are just fantastic, and they're opinionated, and especially Einstein.
One thing that I do understand about how the energy you bring is that, I have to do Courage's teeth every night with I do it with gauze and with a thing for his gums, which kind of brushes his teeth. The dentist said, do what you can with this. If they don't let you use a toothbrush, use this. And it really fixed his teeth. In fact, I remember one day you just called me out of the blue and said, he said whatever you did, his teeth are better. And you didn't know we were doing that. But I know it used to be such a struggle. And then one day I just decided it wasn't a struggle. And he still reacts. He still doesn't want it to happen. He's still kind of a jerk about it. But when I decided it wasn't a struggle, it went way easier. Like usually he'd throw his head around and he wouldn't, and I used to have to stop him, this and that. But now that I'm like, this isn't going to be a struggle, I'm just going to do this, it happens much quicker and much easier. So that's the energy I'm bringing to it.
Exactly. And Karen, that's a perfect example of what it is that I'm trying to explain. Because animals will help their people to adjust their energy one way or another. And they're all in, right? So they're going to do whatever they can do to get their humans to move forward and to heal and to be healthy. And whenever Karen, I think you're going to have to edit this part right here because my brain went blank.
Okay, well, you know what? Actually, let's do this. We're at the perfect point for a break. So we're going to take a break, and then you're going to pick that thought back up, and then we're going to talk about some animal communication. All right, folks, hang on. We'll be right back. Perfect place to have a a thought escape you.
Psychic medium and buddy of mine, Terry Huberman, is with me today. Terry, you've given me so many great readings and healings, and now you've got everything together in one package. Tell me about that.
I sure do. So this package has energy healings, readings, and coaching.
Coaching, that's the best. And people, they buy the package. You give them coaching once a week?
Yeah, so we meet online once a week, and in between, there's support as well.
And who would this be for?
This is really for folks who are in indecision, needing to get into their intuition because they're blocked or stuck. They need to move forward. And so we explore what the root causes of the problems are.
And helps them get out of their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. And what can they expect from this?
Sure. So moving from anxiousness to confidence, accessing their freedom, joy, and security, and really being in alignment with themselves so they have that clear direction, so they know, aha, this is what I need to do next to reach my goals.
So now there's something that's free so people can talk to you and see if this is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. On my website, terryhuberman.com, there is a page where you can click, and it's the intuitive coaching package. And there is a button there that says schedule a free call. So you go ahead, schedule it. We'll get on a call, and you can learn more about this program, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you or not.
See if there's chemistry.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's an odd date.
terryhuberman.com, TerryHuberman. I highly recommend it, folks.
All right, Sonya, where were you?
Yeah, oh my gosh. So this is what I want for people to really understand. That animals choose to come here to be with their with people, to be their companions. And so that I want to make it clear, animals do this on purpose. So if your animal is sick, don't beat yourself up and feel like, oh, I caused my animal to have this experience and I feel terrible about it. What happens is they sometimes take things on. They're having a physical experience and things will happen to them. They will go through things. The point is that as they're going through the things that they go through, there's always an opportunity for the human to learn through that experience, to let go of what doesn't help them anymore in life, to change their opinion, their approach to something like you just described with the boss on doing this piece. It really does make a difference for the humans to be able to express themselves in a particular way, to experience things in a particular way, and to be able to let go of all things that don't serve them anymore. And
go ahead.
Animals are very, very good at that. They will take things on every single time your animal is going through something. It might be their ailment, but it's for the humans to learn. It's for the humans to move forward every time.
And just so people don't feel guilty, like, oh, I killed my dog. They're here for that. They're here for that. And this makes them kind of elevate a level in the afterlife. Does that sound right?
Yes, absolutely. Right. That's absolutely right. Essentially, what they're doing, they go through physical issues, if we're talking about physical, mental, or emotional, essentially, when that happens, ask yourself, what are you feeling, thinking, experiencing, focusing on, not letting go of? What energy are you holding or stuck in? How are you processing life? And sometimes, like I said, their physical issues are direct reflection of their people's physical issues, because sometimes they mirror.
Or sometimes they came earlier, like your pups, and then it was like, oh, but this is the perfect person to have them. So you didn't give them their issues. You just ended like, oh, this energy matches.
It does, and animals choose their people. So they know what's happening going into it.
And we both know, I mean, this is from other episodes, and I've talked on it a lot, is I think animals can jump bodies, can't they? So if I didn't get courage the way I got him, the next dog I got would probably still have Courage's personality, right? It would still be the soul. Can they jump body to body?
It's a walk-in.
Walk-in, yeah.
And absolutely. So if puppy was born and somebody's not ready to have their previous animal come back to them just yet, then I think if they go and they get this puppy, they see this puppy and they go, oh, well, this is fantastic. Well, then that soul can go, oh yeah, you're right time, right, good place. And the soul that was in that puppy and the soul of your beloved that has departed can switch, and it's an agreement that they make, and it's perfectly comfortable for both of them, and so that's how it takes place. You don't have to be in, we call it the right place at the right time. They are more intuitive than that and spiritual than that, and they have their little paws, or gills,
Or feathers.
or hooves or feathers, involved all the time. So they make this stuff work.
Right. So you'll always end up with who you're supposed to.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about my attempts at animal communication, which you can direct and say, because the thing I learned from you is to put the right picture, put the positive picture in the mind. They don't understand the Ghostbusters red ring with a line through it. It has to be what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Okay. So I had 2 animal communication experiences, and the first one was a woman that had a cat. And for some reason, the cat came into my reading, and I think we're talking about animal communication because a lot of people now, because the veil is so thin right now, and it is thin. I was picking up that she was overly sensitive, that she could, there's 2 particular cards that have to do with animal communication and being sensitive to animals. And she had them, and then her cat popped in, and she was kind of like, I don't know that resonates with me. And I was like, well, wait, I'm seeing your cat. And she goes, I said, you really communicate with that cat? And she said, no, the cat ignores me. We stay away from each other. And immediately in my head, I heard, I'm just mirroring you. Just like that. I'm just mirroring you. And the lady started laughing, and she was like, oh, that's my cat. And, I don't know, like, to me, that didn't make any sense, but to her, for some reason, it made perfect sense. So I must have heard that correctly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So that was just like a psychic thing, blank out your mind and wait till what you hear.
Yes. So if I can add to that, it's super important when you're connecting to an animal and you're receiving information from them that you don't judge that information. Because a lot of times when I hear messages from animals, I don't know what I'm talking about. They've taught me a long time ago to mind my own business, to share what it is that they're giving me to share, because if I try to make sense of it, then I interfere. And if I didn't pass something along like that, in that particular case, your logical mind can second guess, right? It can be something, well, that doesn't make any sense. If you just pass on what the animals give you, if you receive what the animals give you and honor it and thank them for sharing with you, for being open to you, then that kind of promotes more and more connection and communication. When we get our logical mind involved is when things get all haywire.
Okay, so
we just need to pass on. Believe what you get.
Okay, and if you are not connecting with the animal or you're getting nothing, does that? Is there any thing to do, or just wait and get more quiet, or try and connect through a higher power, or something like that?
Yes, you can. You can certainly do that. You come back and try again. I think that it can be so subtle that sometimes people are getting messages and they're not realizing that they're getting messages. Because that people might think, oh, that's just my thought. Oh, I just thought that. Oh, that's nothing. Well, it can be that subtle. It can be that quick of a knowing of something. It can be that quick of a feeling of something, a sensation in your body that you didn't have, and then you do, and then it's gone. Well, that's how animals connect with us. That's how they share with us. That's what it's about.
That's something that I talk about with people that talk with tarot and psychic stuff is I always tell them to do apps that are memory apps, because usually it's that instant picture that comes in or the first thing that comes into your mind. So when you have a really good memory, you can grab that faster rather than it just flashing and going away. Okay. Go ahead.
And I say that be kind to yourself. In the beginning of this process, be kind to yourself, because a lot of times people just say, oh, that was nothing, or they just discount what they got. And, if you're inviting an animal to have a conversation with you and then you get something and you go, oh, they didn't say anything. The animal's going, dude.
How much time are you going to waste? How much of my time are you going to waste?
How many things do I have to show you? How many thoughts are you going to have? How many images how many, quick sensations in your body you're going to have?
Courage stares at me all day. Is that about treats?
Yeah, that's funny. With the boss, I know that happens to be his favorite way of controlling you.
Yes, he just stares at me, and he has a death stare.
He's pretty intense, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And you can tell when he's trying to say something or he doesn't feel well.
When he's staring at you, from now on, when he catches you off guard, when he's staring at you and he really gets your attention because he's staring at you, think about what you were just thinking about before you noticed him staring at you.
Okay.
Think about what you were focused on and what you were feeling or thinking or experiencing.
Okay. All right. And okay, so let's switch to Sassy. All right.
Okay.
So, Sassy is a horse, and I got to talk to her a little bit, I think. Sassy's a female, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful horse, like crazy beautiful horse.
It's gorgeous.
Yes. And now I can't quite remember all the communication, but I do remember that there were birds in her place or outside. I'm not sure. I think there was something about being in open air with Sassy. And she didn't like the birds because they're chaos. It's like when we were in Atlantic City and Courage told you he didn't like the fleas because they don't have a plan. Because they just jump all over. They don't even have a plan. They're just all over the place. Right? And I felt like that was Sassy was like, no, they're creating chaos. And so I told Sassy's owner to get a little thing of singing bowls, to play a little sound of singing bowls to sort of calm the air. And then I thought, okay, was that me or was that Sassy? Because how does Sassy know what singing bowls are?
Mm-hmm.
And you explained it to me.
Yeah. So what animals have the ability to do when they connect with a person is they utilize that person's point of reference. So that's why you can talk to many different animal communicators, and they can explain maybe the same thing in a different way, using a different verbiage, using a different example. But what animals will do is, you, Karen, are really into singing bowls. You see the benefit of them. You utilize them. you appreciate them, and see how they can change the energy, change the vibration in a location just by using those singing bowls. And Sassy knows that. So what is, is the goal is to bring calm and peace to this particular location. Well, then bringing up something that you're aware of that you can share from your point of reference is something that she was able to do because she taps into what you know. So does Sassy, when nobody's looking, does she, play singing bowls? No, that's not what's happening. But that's your point of reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you know. That's what you value. And the connection came together just right. And so that is something that's brought out that then can be helpful. And it's designed this way too. I give the animals just such an enormous amount of credit because they operate on the spiritual level to begin with. So they have the bigger picture. They know when something is going to work. They bring people together. And it's much like, how the universe knows about things. Karen, you know how if you are a tarot reader, if somebody comes to you to get, to get a reading, they are brought to you because you are the voice that they need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
That's how the universe works. So likewise, in this particular instance, you connect with Sassy, you are the voice that she's going to utilize. She's going to use your words, your information, your, what knowledge do you have to draw from?
My encyclopedia
so
of information.
There.
Yes.
What's that?
She's going to use my consciousness or what I am familiar with.
Correct. And it will be the information and that particular person that will resonate with. Now, if it's not, when people do things that don't work out, it's not because one person is not sending the correct message. It's that it's got to be that connection has to be one. Let me rephrase that. People are led to the people that they need to be connected to.
Okay.
And that person can change from time to time. But you are the one that, in this particular case, you're the one that Sassy needed to share her message with.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah. And it was weird because it was a psychic reading and I hadn't planned on going this way, but it worked out great. There was something else with Sassy too that I can't remember right now. But that makes perfect sense. Okay. So she accessed what I knew and then used that information against me. No, that's a horse lawyer. That's a horse lawyer. Which you don't find those often.
Not too often.
No. Now, other than horses, who are some of your favorites? I know you know some standard poodles that were your favorites. Tell us some of the best wisdom that you remember from some of the animals.
Oh my gosh, there's so much. There's just so much. There's this dude named Stuart, and he pointed out to me that sometimes the things that I'm shown are abstract, so that I go like into detective mode.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me to just sit with it, and just let it come and be what it's going to be. But I can remember one time talking to Stuart, and he was like, his parents were going to buy a house, and he went there, and we did, visited the house with him. They wanted to see how he did in the house. Before the papers were signed and stuff, she called me and wanted to know what Stuart thought of it. And he's like, I like the fence in the air.
The fence in the air.
The fence in the air, right. And I'm like, fence in the air. And she's like, what is he talking about? I was like, I described it to her. I said, it's kind of like a fence that has it's brown, but through it you can see the light, and then the next slat is there, so it's like it's open between the slats. And I go, but it's really confusing to me because it looks like a fence, but it's not a fence. And she just didn't know what I was talking about. And I heard from her later that Stuart was talking about an awning that hung over this huge window that was brown and white stripes.
So it was the awning. He thought it was a fence in the sky.
Yeah, I want the fence in the air. Yeah, it's like Mom and Dad. Yeah, this place will work, but I don't dig this fence in the air. That's not. But that's how I saw it, And sometimes that's what I say to people is that if there's a lack of information, if there's a inability to get some information, well, that's on me. When I'm talking to people, I say that's on me because the animals are perfect. They are just amazing. And sometimes things are abstract to a point where I have to go, okay, let's gotta be kind of a little detective because they'll paint a picture for me that's so perfect, yet that logical part is missing. And so it's just gotten to a point. It takes me back to what I said earlier, is they've shown me, don't try to dissect it, pass it on, and then with the people, we can get down to what it is exactly that they're showing. Because if I said, that doesn't make any sense, fence in the air. Well, and I didn't say it, well then, and that person would not know that Stuart loves this house, but could you please take the awning down? It's blocking my view. I don't like it.
That's why it was blocking his view. Oh, okay. That's so funny. Oh my God. I have one boss story to close out on this. And, it was that, boss hates huskies. He hates huskies, and he tries to start fights with them. And one day I said to you, why doesn't he like huskies? And you said, it has something to do with a past life. And I said, well, tell us more. What does it have to do with it? You said, he doesn't want to talk about it. And we were on our way.
That's right.
All right, so I'm going to do a real quick recap. So for people that want to communicate with their animals, say they see the animal is staring at them or they're trying to get a message, they should just kind of calm down, blank out their mind, and just try and grab the first thing that comes in, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and remember, you might have a dog like Courage who's sending a message of old Chinese food or something, so believe what you get and thank your animal. Awesome. Yes. Oh, Sonya, that was so great. So tell everyone where to find you. Should they follow you on Facebook or Instagram, or just go to your website, make an appointment? Tell them all how they can do that.
Yes, I have a website. It's sonyaking.com. That's SONYKING. And on the page, when you go there, you're going to find it looks like a speaking page because I do speaking and stand up. And I do a podcast with my son every week called Josh Has Autism.
And tell him about that. Josh is how old? 30, 35?
Josh he's 31 now.
31.
And he was diagnosed when he was 7. So, it's had a lot to draw from. So we just talk about, anything and everything on this podcast and we try to help people out and, to maybe not feel alone about raising a child with autism or caretakers or, it's just, we just try to help and share. And also, it's kind of therapy for Josh and myself. we talk about anything and everything. So that's on there. If you're going to go and schedule an appointment for animal communication, hang around, check everything else out. That would be awesome. But there is a link at the top that says talk to the animals. And if you click on that, it'll take you to a page where you can actually make an appointment. I have a calendar all set up and you can decide, from the availability when it is that you'd like to
Yes.
to connect.
And I promise you won't be disappointed. Sonya, you're like you're so good at what you do, and you have helped the boss and I through many tough times, and many times that weren't tough at all, that I just freaked out. And you literally would text back, just calm down, he's fine. He says it's fine. Leave him alone, it's fine.
he says, "Stop touching me."
Yes, leave it alone. I'm just sleeping. Well, awesome, everybody. I can't say you will so enjoy your appointment with Sonya, and Sonya, I'll say I'll talk to you in 5 minutes. Because when we're done, I'm just going to call you. Everyone else, thanks for listening. If you can, go to my website and sign up for my email list. That's the best way to keep up on anything that's going on with me, or if I'm going to be doing comedy in your town. Hopefully, this is out when Sonya and I are in Pennsylvania. We hope. And hopefully we'll see you on the road soon. Thanks to Mike Flynn at Uno Rising Media. We will see you all next week.